Hey, y'all. You found the Fishing Business Podcast, and I'm your host, Angie Thompson. Okay, you guys have all heard of NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. They're the folks who usually tell us what's happening with the weather. Well, they recently did a study that proved just how big the recreational fishing business is in this country. In their new report, NOAA shows angler trip expenditures totaled $10.5 billion nationwide last year, more than double the $4.3 billion in expenditures from the previous report. Now, the way NOAA gathers information and reporting has gotten a lot better, which is why the numbers are so crazy. But the point here is $10.5 billion, y'all. So the fishing business is a big business, and a big business needs a lot of jobs to support it. There are over 167,000 jobs in the fishing industry, not even the outdoor industry, in the fishing industry, 167,000 jobs. And if you want one of those jobs, today's guest is the guy you want to take advice from. Jared Kutil has created a new website called outdooroccupations.com. It's a job board for people who want to find jobs in the outdoors. And it's not just fishing, it's hunting, it's biking, it's kayaking, it's camping. There's all sorts of things are represented there, and you can actually pull down and look for the jobs within those categories. Now, again, if you're looking for a job in the outdoors, Jared's a guy to take advice from him. I'm going to ask him today to give us his best advice on how to find a job in the fishing industry. So this is going to be a good one. If you found your way here to this podcast, you're probably excited about the opportunity to find a job in the fishing or the outdoor industry, and I want to help you. So here we go, y'all. Jared Kutil, I'm very excited to have you here today. You've got a brand new business that I think can help a lot of our listeners and viewers. Why don't we start by you just telling me what you're doing right now and what all that means?
Yes, I started Outdoor Occupations last year. It is a job board for the outdoor industry. So very much like Indeed or Monster, but focusing on the outdoors, outdoor recreation. That's hunting, fishing, firearms, camping, biking, outdoor recreation in general. There's about maybe 7 to 8 million people that work in the outdoor recreation industry in the U.S.
Isn't that amazing?
It is. It's big. It's bigger than you think, because it acts so small. Maybe just like the relationships we have and people we meet, but it's really big when you look at it as a whole.
Yeah. And what a very needed service that you're providing. There's a lot of people that can benefit on both sides from what you're doing.
Absolutely. Nowadays with the power of the internet, people want to find things as quickly as possible. And,
Right.
Really these vertical job boards are really the rage right now. There's probably the biggest labor pool we've ever seen in our time right now, looking for jobs out there. And it's really important that they can look in the right place and find the jobs that are relevant for them. And same thing for the employers, find the right people as quickly as possible. And it's really kind of a blessing in disguise right now that I started this business. And there's so many people that, either want to get in the outdoor industry or they're looking for their next opportunity to grow themselves and grow their career and find the next company to work with.
So it's outdooroccupations.com, right?
Yes.
And how does it work? Say like I want to look for a job. What do I do?
You go on the website and you click the search for the topics that interest you. So if, for example, you're big into marketing, you can search for marketing jobs specifically. You can look at marketing jobs in the fishing industry. You can look at firearms and hunting. And so on, and really kind of focus on what your specialty is. And it works as the employers and recruiters will post those jobs on there.
How do you reach the employers? How did they know to come to you?
A lot of different ways. Old-fashioned sales and networking is a big part of it. Search engine optimization is probably one of the most important tools I could ever imagine, as far as really just, creating that web online of keywords and such. People are already searching for these jobs, before my business started, and really the fishing, hunting, and the outdoor industry hasn't had very many job board marketplace services to begin with. So there's tens and tens of thousands of people that are actively looking for these jobs. It's just kind of creating the right keywords and such to bring those people in, and with the power of Google and search engines, they find me. That's a big part of it.
That's great. And, I just love that. It's such a great American success story. It's like a need was there, there was a void, and you filled it. And you really have a great background for being the guy to fill that void. You've had an interesting career so far. Tell us about some of the things that you've done.
Yeah, it's, and they all kind of work together, like you said. So, really started out in retail. I think it kind of gets a bad rap, for, right out of college, I got a job at Dick's Sporting Goods. I think I was making $10 an hour in the lodge, the outdoor section. So fishing, hunting, selling firearms, sold hundreds and hundreds of kayaks. We were close to the Chattahoochee River, north of Atlanta. Oh my goodness, sold so many, but learned a lot, right, about the products of the outdoors. Really, truly, so many people in the outdoors get their start from retail. It's a great point of entry, and there's so many paths you can go from there, and just the knowledge that you get. But I also I graduated up to Bass Pro Shops after that, and I wanted to work in fishing, but I was told, I interviewed with them and I for fishing and also for hunting. And I talked to the hunting manager, and he's like, all the fishermen work in hunting. He's like, that way during the busy fishing season, we get to go fishing, not be at the store working. And I like that. It was, something outside of my main skill set. I've been, obsessed with fishing my whole life. It was kind of nice to be on the hunting side for a little bit. So in 2012, I started working with the Bass University. So it's one of the Iaconelli's companies, also a co-owner is Pete Glusek. Shout out to Pete. And that was really one of my best opportunities. I was a year out of college, and it was the opportunity for me to really roll my sleeves up. And they gave me a bunch of exciting projects, one being Bass University TV, which was just an idea at that time. It's a booming bass fishing education business now, and really allowed me the opportunity to just chase some projects, and kind of very similar to kind of what I'm doing now, where I just had a kind of blank slate in front of me of the concept and challenge, and completed that. And I after 3 years, I found one of my fishing buddies who is the only person I've ever met who talks more about bass fishing than I do. And I knew he'd be perfect for a bass fishing education role. I trained him, and he's still there now and runs Bass University with Pete Glusek. It's Justin Kimmel I'm talking about. And I was promoted to a sales role with the Iaconelli's sport fishing agency, Professional Edge Fishing. And kind of very similar to your background, I was in the sponsorships business, specifically selling sponsorships for 4 different professional anglers and a few different media organizations, charity organization, and really a lot of different, grassroots elements there on the sponsorship side too. But it's a very different challenge, than where Bass University was, more on the marketing and events, and really just that this like web e-commerce system that it is, right, to just really focusing on the sponsorship side. And from there, I got it. This is completely in left field. I saw an opportunity for a head college fishing coaching job at Savannah College of Art and Design in Savannah, Georgia, with SCAD. And it's really like divine. I had a dream before I even saw the opportunity that I was like coaching a college.
No way.
Team. Yeah. Like it was really like when I saw it, and I had just moved here, I was like that.
Oh, like no, wait. You moved to Savannah. I thought you moved to take the job.
No.
Oh my gosh, that is crazy that you got a college coach job.
And so I went to college during the heyday of college fishing. It, went from my freshman year was maybe 40, 50 schools had teams to my senior year, 300 did. That's really when it exploded. And I helped start my college team then. So that's been part of my DNA for a long time. And I've been saying for years, to that point, I've been saying that I wanted a coaching opportunity. And, I kind of originally just thought it was a volunteer thing that I would do. And let alone, find a college program that had the most sophisticated resources college fishing had ever seen. And, that was really a unique opportunity. But, ultimately for years, I've been wanting to do something entrepreneurial. And, that's how my mindset works. I'm always thinking of ideas and really just solutions to problems and how I can apply that with my passion of fishing in the outdoors. And that's where I am today. It's exciting to finally be able to take that step. I have so much experience behind me and so many skills that I've learned. And very fortunate for those. But I'm excited because they're all working together now.
Yeah, that's right.
Incredible.
And attaboy, that's awesome that you went for it, and listen, I tell people all the time, if you're an angler, you're an entrepreneur.
Oh, for sure.
If you're trying to make money fishing, you're an entrepreneur and you own your own business. And you obviously have those skills because you're killing it already. But listen, hey, we're going to take a really quick break and then we're going to come back and you're going to hear more from Jared Kutil with Outdoor Occupations. If anybody can help you find a job in the outdoors, this is the guy. Hey, if you're enjoying this podcast, check out fishingbusinessschool.com, where you can see video uploads of the podcast, as well as my blog, where I give you more practical advice on the business side of fishing. fishingbusinessschool.com. Come see me over there. We're back on the Fishing Business Podcast with Jared Kutil from OutdoorOccupations.com. It's an outdoor job board. That's the easiest way for me to say it. If you're looking for a job in the outdoors, this is where you can go, upload your information, find available jobs, and recruiters and companies that are hiring can also find you. Did I say that right, Jared?
Absolutely. Yes. Perfect.
Awesome. All right. So you grew up in Georgia?
No, I did pick up the accent there though. So I was born in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Not too far north of Van Dam country.
Yeah.
But yeah, I grew up there. Grew up fishing. Probably started soon after I could walk. A little bit of bass fishing, bluegill fishing, just kind of the traditional. Bobber and worms. I saw a bass boat kind of zoom past us throwing a spinnerbait, and I was just like, "What is that guy doing?" And just naturally had that curiosity to learn more. But really, it was my family moved to the Atlanta area, and kind of quickly the people that, and the rest of my life is like this. The people that also fish are kind of rednecks or very southern country people, and the southern accent is very
rednecks.
very very contagious, and really even so on going to college and now I kind of live closer to South Georgia. A lot of my friends are from South Georgia, and it's even more noticeable. But no, I've been down here for almost 20 years now.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe that. So let's talk again. We talked before the break about you being a coach at the Savannah College of Art and Design. I don't know if they still call it that. I think I'll refer to it as SCAD, which I was amazed. I was amazed that they had a college fishing team because they're known as an art and design and internet type school, which some of their majors just blow me away. You can get a major in user experience.
Oh yeah, they're very much on the leading edge of what they want to have degree programs that match the jobs that employers are actually hiring for. At the same time they released that major, they also had one for fragrance.
Fragrance, oh, perfect! I love that.
Think of that industry.
Yeah. No, right? You're right. It's huge, and nobody's training people for that industry.
Exactly. There's actually a social media major, not marketing, not advertising, just social media. So almost kind of like a trade school, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But just kind of making it to, this leading edge creative side.
Right.
But, for fishing, they're very interested in lifetime sports. And you're seeing this more as fishing has become more and more popular with other colleges and universities. They're looking at other sports and programs that the student can be involved with throughout their whole life. The university just sees a lot more participation with that student, as they become alumni and so on. And it's just a lot more valuable, for the university in the long run.
Agreed. I couldn't agree more. And then
yourself, having a skill that you can use your whole life. I mean, it's a phenomenal thing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the great thing about fishing. Your knees don't go out. Now, sometimes your back might give you some.
Yeah.
But if you're not careful,
your great elbow, you got to do the
That's right. So how did the idea for outdoor occupations come? How did that come along?
Out of frustration, honestly, just continuing to look for something that didn't exist. Like I never really thought of it as a business venture ever. I mean, and this goes back to 2011. I graduated college. I looked for it, right? Like every time that I was in my life that I was looking at jobs in fishing or the outdoors, I was looking for a website, a job board like this, and it just didn't exist. There's a couple similar ones, but not to the scale that I'm trying to accomplish now, and really tie in all of outdoor recreational segments together. And kind of talking to employers now, they may not find someone who has the exact passion of fishing or hunting, but it's, as long as it's related or just this general outdoor passion, they can, they can train someone on the rest.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes just having that outdoor passion just kind of makes that person more productive and, genuinely interested in their business. And they find a lot of lifetime employees and, long time employees through that. But no, it's just, like I said, I probably had to tell myself 100 times that, I kept looking for it, and I'd think about it, and I kept looking for other ones. I'm like, no. Like I just kept coming back to it. And when I finally realized that my background really aligned well with it, then I jumped on it. I jumped.
That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, so if someone is watching this and they really want to get a job in the outdoors industry somehow, what are a couple of things a young person can do to make themselves more, attractive as a candidate in the outdoor industry?
I think, first impressions are incredibly important, and some of the things that you can do to kind of bolster that first impression, your resume is really the item that makes the first impression in today's era, where you're submitting a resume, you find a job that you like, you submit a resume, cover letter as well. Those are really the first things that, an HR manager or recruiter is going to see. And making sure that, that's presented cleanly. It's presented, it really needs to be tailor-made to the job description and the company.
Right.
And that's really been a big key to my success with past jobs is, one, they're a strategic fit, or, my skills and what they're looking for are a fit, but being able to communicate that. It's very similar to what you and I have both done in the sponsorships world. And, being able to, communicate to a company, a campaign, a message, and show them, we're dot connectors essentially.
Right.
And it's, extremely important to make sure that your message is custom. And really, there's so much flack out there nowadays, and so many people looking, like I said, recruiters that I talk to may sift through hundreds of applicants for one position. And, if they don't see what they're looking for real quick, you might kind of get lost there. So really trying to
very competitive
to work on that. And also, I'd say have amazing references if possible. And it's, that's been a big part of it. You know what I mean? If someone doesn't know you and they're interviewing you and they may know your references or are able to gather some credibility from your references, I mean, that's gone a long way for me and a lot of my friends as well.
Absolutely. I'm smiling because it seems like on almost every episode of this podcast, relationships comes up.
Yeah.
The word relationship, it's so important in this industry. I don't know if it's like that in every other industry, but in this industry, it's everything.
It is. You know, people want to make sure that someone's going to do what they say they're going to do. And it does seem like everyone knows everyone, or, you know what I mean? Like, everyone has that mutual connection, and it is nice that, and that happens so much, that, they'll call and check and it's funny. It's almost every single time that an employer has called my references, they end up talking for like an hour. These are people who have never met before.
Right. Okay. Well, let me ask you this though. What if I'm Angie Thompson. I am in Alabama where I grew up, and I don't have any industry relationships. So are we saying I'm out of luck? I'm not going to find a job?
No. I think the best thing that you can do is to go out and create them. I mean, when I got started, I didn't know a single person in the fishing industry, and I actually kind of just looked around and looked at some companies that I could see myself working for in my local area, and I reached out to them, and I created those relationships then, and so this is my I'll give you a quick example. It was Sid from Spro. I don't know if you know Sid Reeves, who's a national sales manager over there. I just reached out. I lived in the area, and he said they weren't hiring, but we went out to lunch, and we actually went out to lunch several times, and it was really awesome just because I got to pick his brain and learn so much. And he's still a close friend. Talk to him all the time. See him at every event I go to in fishing, and it's really, you have to start with one. So that's what my recommendation is. People in the outdoors want to help someone who's truly passionate about it. So kind of, let's say, kind of identify people who are in that role that you like to be in, maybe another company, reach out to them and pick their brain. And that's a good starting point. And also just get involved, go to events within that discipline that you want to apply for, and just
what's interesting, Jared?
Don't be afraid to say hi and meet someone.
Exactly. And a lot of people have said that too on the show. Go to the tournaments and talk to the people that are there, because that's the marketers and that's the people that are going to be able to connect you right to other people. And they're there. That's why they're there. They're there to talk to the consumers and people who may want a job or people who want to be a fisherman. That's why they're there. I don't think you can be afraid to do these things, like calling someone up and saying, hey, I'm trying to get my start. Can you help me?
Most people will accept lunch.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
That's a big one.
I send out in my newsletter all the time. In my newsletter, I say, I want to hear from you. Write me back. And I'm so amazed at the few people that actually take me up on that, because I think if I was in the position of trying to figure things out and there was somebody that knew as much as I do saying, hit me back, I'd be hitting them back,
Absolutely.
But it's funny, because like I said, this industry, everybody or a lot of people are still very accessible, and they do want to help. Everybody, in my opinion, seems to want to help everybody else. So don't be afraid, you guys listening, don't be afraid to call someone up and say, can you give me some advice, or can I buy you lunch, or can I buy you breakfast? Sometimes breakfast is better.
Absolutely. And social media can be a great way to meet these people too. LinkedIn would probably be the most powerful one there is.
So let's talk about that, because that was another thing on my list to ask you about. I have friends of the college age who actually create different social media identities for themselves when they're in the job market, because they want to be perceived a certain way. How do you think social media, how important is your social media presence to finding a job?
I don't think it's not like you don't have to have one, but if you do, that employer is going to look at you 100%. With especially like anything that I've had in the last several years, yes, those employers absolutely looked me up. The coworkers, and that's a big thing. A lot of fishing companies are very small. They want to make sure the hiring decision is a team decision of their entire team,
That's
and
right.
they will all look at you and just see, is this somebody that I could see myself working with, right? Or we can see ourselves working with. So, they're going to check you out. For fishing, sometimes they want to make sure you have some credibility as an angler. Not always, but that can occur. That can. So
It
I
can
would
be a
just
plus for you.
be clean. If your mother wouldn't like it, I probably wouldn't keep it on there. That type of thing. But
Right.
I wouldn't say having like a huge social media presence is required, but it definitely can help though.
But we don't want to, we probably, I've hired and fired people. If all we see are party pictures, it might give us a little bit of might be a little bit of a red flag, or if all we see are political rants, we might have a little bit of a red flag. Hiring someone is so tricky because especially when you have a close-knit group of people that work together, you're taking such a big risk that they're going to fit your culture and that everybody's going to like each other because that's such a big, important piece of being successful, right? And so your social media needs to tell your story in a way, I think, that somebody can kind of understand who you are.
Absolutely. Very, very, very critical.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Are there seasons, better times of the year to be looking for an outdoor job than others?
There's certainly seasons that more people look for these jobs. On kind of the job seeker side, I've seen a lot more of that with my research. For instance, around July, there seems to be a big spike every year in people looking for fishing industry jobs. I wonder why. It's the ICAST, the trade show, and
right.
Just a lot of excitement then of wanting to work in the fishing industry. But I'd say definitely in that kind of that cabin fever type of year, and around the holidays and the early spring, just kind of right before the big sales season for fishing. There definitely can be some hiring then and such, but it varies. It just depends on the economic cycle, but definitely seen a lot in that, like maybe December through March, April.
Right. So retail, certainly, December is really important and the spring is important. It kind of reminds me a quick story. The Bassmaster Classic used to be held in the late summer or early fall. And people just were so upset when we moved that to the spring. And I'll never forget the year we moved it because we had to have two classics. We had to have a fall classic and then we had to have a spring classic because you couldn't make it work, unless you had two in 1 year. Whew, that was a year, I'm telling you. And people were upset. And still I hear people say, I wish they put the Bassmaster Classic back in the summer. But there's so much pent-up demand in the spring for fishing supplies and fishing gear and fishing equipment that the trade show or the consumer expo part of the classic just enormously blew up when we moved it to spring because everybody has cabin fever and they want to get out and they want to get on the water. And it's such an important time of the year for the fishing industry that doubt the championship will ever move back to fall.
Yeah, that's the early spring, the wintertime, early spring is definitely the busy season. One of the things I kind of learned early on in my job search, talking to the marketing and sales professionals that work for most of the manufacturers, they're like, hey, if you really want to be fishing tournaments and fishing aggressively in the spring, don't get a job with a tackle manufacturer or lure company because it's busy. It's really busy. There's definitely some. Just depends on the company and the culture there. There's some that their administration and their professionals fish a lot. Some don't fish at all.
Yeah,
it's very kind of. That if that's something that's important to you, I look at it and it's very there's so many little tiny details about a company, and it's in your search, as far as when you have to work, how often you're traveling,
right.
Again, how often you're able to even fish. That's why it's so important to reach out to people at these companies and interview them, talk to them, and find out what it's like.
Right.
There's so many people that get a job and then realize how horrible it is, and it's when you're doing an interview, you need to be interviewing them too.
Right. That's right. People don't put enough thought into that too. You got to figure out if it's right for you, because if it's not right for you, you're not going to be right for it. It's just not going to work out. Hey, let me ask you this. Are you seeing companies, brands, retailers, brands particularly, looking for people to be content creators for them?
Oh, 100%. I mean, that's a very, very, very demanded item. I think that really favors the entry level college anglers out there.
That's right.
Fishing, because they're really good at it. But in general, yeah, I mean, all across the outdoors, not just fishing. There's a lot of film production, television production, on the social media content side, all sorts of digital content in general, opportunities. And that's what a great way to get involved. But as I kind of said before, don't be afraid to start in retail or customer service or just anything in that company sometimes. Yep. You would be amazed that some of my friends in fishing, the ladder they have climbed from the absolute bottom. But content creation is a I mean, now probably more than ever, right? We had the last couple of months, there wasn't fishing tournaments. There wasn't a lot of the traditional marketing elements happening from maybe trade shows and consumer shows. Everything
because of the COVID crisis.
Content.
Right. So, yeah. Well, and listen here. I mean, I just thought about this while you were talking. If you do start at retail, what a great place to create content. Yeah. I mean, if that's what you want to do, if you want to be a content creator, you can do that probably no matter where you work in the company, and you'll probably impress somebody along the way too.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, Jared, is there anything is there anything I should have asked you that I wasn't smart enough or I didn't know enough to ask? Oh, I got one. Does it cost the person who is looking for a job? Is there a fee?
No, it's completely free. So it's employers pay to list their job, very similar to all the other larger job boards out there, and completely free for the job seekers to apply for jobs, to create a free profile and put information about themselves and their skills and background. And also upload a resume, as Angie mentioned before, for recruiters, employers to browse and look at. And that's always going to be free. I mean, it's a really amazing service that I want to offer. I've lost my job before. I've had friends lose my job, or just seen the struggle of how to get in fishing. I want to make sure that it's completely free and helping people find their next opportunity.
You're awesome. I'm so glad you've done this. This is so needed in this industry. Really, thanks for doing that. I know it was probably, not the easiest thing in the world to get off the ground, but what a great service you're doing to the industry.
Absolutely. Well, it's something that, it's a challenge, but those are the ones that make you, that are the most rewarding in the long run.
That's right. All right. We're going to take another break here. We'll be right back with Jared Kutil from Outdoor Occupations, right? With an S.
Yes.
I'm going to link to it in the show notes too, so everybody can find it really easily. All right, we're back on the Fishing Business Podcast with Jared Kutil from OutdoorOccupations.com, a new service. If you're looking for a job in the outdoors, you can upload your resume there, and companies that are looking to hire people to work in the outdoors are looking for you there. So this is a great, great place to go get involved with if you really want to work in the outdoors. All right, Jared, this is my favorite part of the show. My quick questions here at the end. What was your first car?
Chevy Silverado.
Oh, wow. Mine was a Ford Pinto. Okay. Chevy Silverado, man, you're something. All right. First job.
I needed something to pull my boat.
Of course.
Before the truck.
First job.
This is a very unique one, and I guarantee you'll never meet another person who had this job. So I got my first job when I was 10 years old at a golf course in Michigan. This is kind of right before I moved to Georgia. I was sorting cans. Michigan has a 10-cent deposit on cans, and the golf course would sell them back to the distributors. So they'd pay kids cash to sort cans. And honestly, it's a dirty, gross job, but I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. And, they would basically just in a room, kind of storage room, have these big bags of old beer cans, soda cans.
Oh my gosh.
And I would sort them out and put them in their appropriate bag. And I loved it. I'd make like $50 that week. And, for a 10-year-old, that's a lot. Like that's, oh my gosh, that funded a lot of fishing gear and other little interests. But I had all the cherry Coke and hot dogs and burgers I wanted to eat. I thought it was amazing. And
you were in 10-year-old heaven right there. Could you also fish on the golf course ponds?
Yes.
Of course. Oh my gosh. You're right. Listen, it says a lot about your work ethic that you started working at 10. Okay. I mean, really.
I wanted to pay for things, or I wanted to buy things, and my family is like, go work. I was like, okay.
You could have mowed yards, or you could sort.
I did a little bit of that. I mean, I did all sorts of little weird things. Very entrepreneurial all over the place of trying to sell things and sold golf balls. Of course.
All right. What's a talent that you would most like to have that you don't have?
Speak multiple languages. That I think that would just be so awesome to be able to travel around and actually communicate with other people that can't speak English.
Do you not speak Spanish at all?
Lightly. I mean, I've been around it for a long time, but I don't think I made it past like Spanish 2. And
isn't it funny how we're required to take these foreign languages, and none of us seem to retain? I shouldn't say none of us, but many of us just don't retain it.
You have to be surrounded by it. I mean, that's really, you have to just immerse yourself in it. And like I've worked with Hispanics a few times, from golf courses to restaurants in my like high school days. And I would get really good at it for a little while and then just go 5 years without it and really forget, most of the advanced parts of it. I still know the basics.
Yeah. You could get by.
That would be really cool.
That's like me. I took French in high school and college, just a little bit. And I can't speak French, but I can read it. So I can look at those root words and figure out what the word is, but I can't listen to it most of the time. And some words, some, slogans, sayings I can get, but I can read it, but not really speak it. Okay. What was the last podcast you listened to?
This one, I do have another one that I'll mention just to do so, but no, for real. I love your show just because it has the people and the topics that I'm interested in hearing from. A lot of people that I've worked with in the fishing industry. I mean, you had the one and only Dan Quinn on here. I mean, he's a living legend.
Is he not the greatest?
I love working with him.
Oh my gosh.
He's probably one of the first people in the fishing industry that I worked with when I got started. So, I mean, that's really cool though, opportunity to kind of understand how these people think and what they're looking for, maybe on the sponsorship side, but just in business, what they're trying to do for their company and how they're trying to grow it. I mean, that's, I like to stay on the leading edge on the business side and really pay a lot of attention to lots of different outlets. And that might just be the media sites, right? Bass Fan, Wire to Fish, the Fishing Wire and Outdoor Wire I look at them every single day, and I have for years. Just surrounding yourself with resources on this topic, it's so important, and it's something that naturally most people in the fishing outdoor industry do. It just really helps kind of sharpen your trade and your tool set and stay on the leading edge of what's going on. But no, I think outside of your show, the last one I listened to is probably Bass Talk Live.
Great show, yeah.
And Matt Pengra and that show over there, kind of more so just on what's going on in the professional fishing world.
Oh yeah, those guys are a mess. I'm telling you, they're entertaining.
Oh,
know who else is really entertaining is Luke Duncan. Do you ever listen to his show?
Yes. He's also one of the first people I met in the fishing industry. So big
great
fan
guy
in his show. there's a lot out there. There's more and more now. It's been so needed, to have just a good selection of different types of content on the fishing podcast world.
It's funny because I think I wonder all the time, I'm like, am I just a nerd that I think this is so interesting, the business side of fishing? Am I like the ultimate nerd and there's only like 10 of us out there? But I guess from the feedback that I get, I think more people are interested in it than I thought.
Oh, absolutely. And people want to hear the stories of your guests and really how they're able to accomplish what they accomplished, or just,
right.
The skills they may have, the things they do.
Right.
There's a lot out there, but for years I've been looking all over the place for these types of shows and content. Real quick shout out, I found one a few years ago anchored by April Vokey, has an episode on Gary Loomis and how he built G Loomis.
Oh,
and
wow!
It's one of the best stories I've ever heard of starting a fishing company, and it basically he could make the tools, like he could make the machines to build the graphite rods.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how he was on the leading edge for so long, is he could make better rods than anyone.
Yeah.
It wasn't that, he could just assemble other parts that are already made. He was actually making them and became a pioneer of graphite and graphite technology, even for the golf industry.
Wow.
And that's kind of, like I said, for fishing podcasts, that's really what I like to look for.
Well, I'll tell you what, send me the link to that. I'll put that link in the show notes too, so people can easily find what we're talking about here. Because I'd like to listen to that. That'd be a great story, I think. All right. Listen, thank you so much, Jared. I appreciate you taking the time out. I know you got a lot to do and you probably have better things to do than to talk to me, but I think this is going to be really good for the people out there listening and watching. And hopefully it'll help more people, help you get more people in the mix there.
Oh, yeah. And just one last word of advice for everyone. Reach out to as many companies as possible that are a strategic fit for your interests, your background. That it's really how many companies you want to reach out to and how hard you're going to search for them. I mean, not just my website. Look at all of them. You need to be on LinkedIn. You need to be on Indeed. You need to just be relentless with looking for it. I mean, it is a needle in a haystack a lot of times when it's something, when it's something this specific as your passion,
right?
It can take a lot of work to get in. So, I mean, that's really been a key to my success, my friends' successes, and a lot of people that I work with outdoor occupations is just making sure they're looking and talking to these companies. And even if you're getting the word no, a lot of times these people are still going to call you back and give you advice. And maybe they've heard about another job somewhere else and with another company in the area. I mean, it's a very connected world of relationships in fishing. So just creating that dialogue by talking to these companies and if you're having a hard time figuring out, what companies, just go to Tackle Warehouse, see who the manufacturers are.
Yeah.
Look at all these fishing podcasts and media sites we've mentioned on the show. Just look around, look for opportunities that way. They're all over the world. So just, kind of diving in and really setting some time to looking and reaching out to these companies. That's the most important thing.
I agree. And, it is a numbers game, just like sales. It is a numbers game. And if you want it bad enough, you can do it.
Absolutely. You can.
All right. Thanks again, Jared. Well, hopefully we'll talk again soon. I want you back on because I've got so much more I want to ask you. So we'll schedule a time for you to come back.
Anytime. Take care.
Hey, now that was some solid advice from Jared on how to put yourself in the best position to find a job in the outdoors industry. Here's my 3 key takeaways from the conversation. Have a sharp resume. This seems like it shouldn't even need to be said, but I think we sometimes forget how important this is. Make sure your resume presents your skills and talents in the best light so that an employer can get a good sense of how you can contribute. OutdoorOccupations.com actually has a resume review service right there on the site to help you get this right. Number 2, don't use a cookie cutter cover letter. Take the time to create a customized message for the company with which you're applying. I've hired a few people in my career, and believe me, we can all tell when you're too lazy to write something specifically for the job you are looking for. Don't be lazy. Number 3, have amazing references. This is an important one. We talked a good bit about it on the podcast, and for good reason. Everyone checks references. As I've said in the show, hiring a new person is so risky because the person who hires you wants you to fit in with the other people you work with. And they want to know they can trust you, you're honest, a bunch of other important kind of intangible things. So they will call your references, and you want to have them call people who are going to sing your praises with integrity. Important part. If you're looking for a job in the outdoors industry, congratulations in advance. I hope you find one. And if you listen to what Jared just talked about, I think you'll be well on your way. Go to outdooroccupations.com. It's a great resource. And I tell you what, I feel so grateful that I got to work in the outdoor industry my whole career. I've never seen another category of people that are so passionate about what they do. And you know what? If you're passionate about the outdoors, you're probably a good person. And it's great to work with good people. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off for now the way Jerry McInnes always signed off on the fishing hole. The greatest fisherman in the world, in my opinion, always said that he was dedicating this to Dad because he always had time to take me fishing. See you next time, y'all.